Last week, I left at the point where all of the accessories were done. So, for today, this leaves us with doing the bar jacket and the doll itself. So, let's go. For the bar jacket, I have this fabric. Please do me the favor and don't get too attached to this fabric because I will mess it up. It is very cream colored. I think the original jacket was more white than cream and it was out of satin as far as I know. This is cream colored fabric, but when you look at the pictures, the jacket looks more cream. What this somehow strangely annoying person tried to say is the jacket seemed to have aged, and that is why it is cream now. And I'm fine with depicting it in the aged version. I really should stop to try to talk while I do stuff. That always ends up completely strange. I stop in the weirdest moments, the audio is not usable. Why do I even bother? For the pattern, I used one of my base patterns that I made ages ago. I did put some of my patterns into this book. I should do that more often because it's nice to have the patterns. Who would have guessed? Anyway, I copied the base pattern for the Monster High dolls, and from the waist point, so the thinnest point of the torso, I widened the area going down to the waist, no, to the hips, quite significantly to get this peplum effect. I did round it, I didn't go straight out just because I wanted this to be a little bit more, rounded, not straight out, surprisingly, because the original seems to be more, it is wider than the natural hip area is, but it still curves in so it's not too far out. After I had my base pattern checked out if the seams are still the same length. As soon as you change patterns, you quite often have the issue that when you do curves differently, you add a different amount to each piece and then it won't add up anymore. So I checked that I had the same amount of curvage for the peplum on the mirrored pieces. So where the front and the side touched, for example, I did check that the side seam was still the same length on both sides. My new most favorite thing when sewing doll garments: ironing on interfacing. Gosh, that stuff is a dream. For the bar jacket, I took my pattern pieces and traced them onto said interfacing with seam allowance and ironed them onto the fabric. That does the following: it not only stiffens the fabric and gives it more structure, it does stiffen the seams as well, so it is a little bit less likely that seams will bunch together. I wouldn't do that with everything because it does get quite stiff, but it helps with so many issues, like the hemming and everything, and I love that. I burned the edges of all the fabric pieces, and it was so easy to stitch together. Yeah, where I want the pieces to be very stiff and very structured, I really use it for the seam allowance as well. Where I want the pattern pieces themselves a bit more stable, but the seam itself looking a little bit more, normal, not as crisp, I didn't do seam allowance. So the dress bodice is made without, the whole bar jacket is made with stiffened seam allowance. If you have the option, try it out. I can only recommend it. Makes everything so much easier, for me at least. And to everyone's surprise, afterwards, of course, I stitched the whole thing together. Who would have guessed? So, some issues. First of all, this looks quite nice so far, but I definitely need to elongate the torso part, so we do need to make a second pattern. And I do need to shorten the sleeves as well. So this one out of the question. And because I'm missing more of, or don't have more of this fabric, we are now switching over to this one. It's a satin, it is... And that, my friends, is the reason why you should even make mock-ups for doll clothes. I never do that, just to say it. I changed the pattern only so far that I didn't use the real waist. I went a little bit further down, because of the elongated torsos of the Monster High dolls. I thought about that while I was doing this, but I thought, while I was doing the first one, but I thought it would work. It didn't, so I had to redo all of it for a second time. Yay! This was, by the way, the first thing that I had to do twice. After this was done, the whole thing with the hat, or with the hats, started, so here I still was quite okay with redoing it. And with all the pieces done, I then could first of all trace the pattern pieces into my book, and second of all, it was only the doll that we needed to repaint. So let's switch over to that. As you might have already guessed, I used this Draculaura, but I gave her the arms of an operetta doll, and I had to paint one of the gloves black because one was white, one was black, but because I wanted her to have gloves, that was perfect. So first step was preparing her, of course. This is the hat, completely stripped down. This is the nylon I will use. I will use the Leia nylon from the Doll Hair Emporium. And yeah, that is what I will do now. That is where we are now with the hat. It is fully rooted. It is already glued. It does seep out a little bit. Yay. It does need to dry. Lucky for everyone involved, the repaint portion was quite quick. I did choose Draculaura for a reason. Because of her pink skin tone, going over it with some soft pastels does give you quite a quick cover. And after looking at quite a lot of 40s and 50s makeup, it is rather simple. I did shade the eye sockets a little bit, or the lids, just to give them a little bit of depth, but everything just with the pan pastels I have, just to give it a little bit more definition and the feel of a bit of eyeshadow. But I didn't want a too heavy makeup look, so quite quick I then was able to sketch in the eyes. I made them a little bit more cat eye-esque, and I do think I overdid it slightly, but I still think in the end she works out, and I love her. I think she's so cute. For her lips, obviously I choose bright red because that was what I was finding everywhere. And yeah, with the lack of shading, she might have a very, very simple face-up, but I have to admit I really like her. I think she turned out quite pretty. For once, I did need to do some changes on the body. And for her, it basically just was drawing on stockings, pantyhoses, nylons. I think you know what I mean. Back in the wartime, as far as I know, they did that as well, that they drew a line with eyeliner just to make the leg, or give it the appearance that they would wear nylons. I did the same with her. I drew on a line and then I mixed my skin tone with a little bit of black, and because I have pan pastels for the skin tone and the black is a cheaper one, the pigment of the black was not that strong, so it worked quite nicely to resemble slightly darker pantyhoses, nylons, whatever, in the end. Yeah, I think I want to do that more often now, because I think that looks quite nice and was very easy. And it does not do anything or interfere in any way, shape or form with the shoes. That was one of the most important parts for me, that I didn't add any more bulk for the shoes. Sometimes it is very great when you buy all the dolls that you can find. And yes, this is just a shameless way to say I bought a doll and for once she came with something useful. When I was with Kitsy the last time, I bought another fail fashion fix whatever doll. I thought they are so adorable, and there was one left that I wanted, and she came with this chair that is perfect for the finishing touches like adding eyelashes and making the hair. I still struggled with the hair. What a surprise! It wouldn't be me when I would not struggle with the hair. First, I wanted to try to make a bun that is a little bit broader, so I gave her 2 pigtails and then tried to turn those into a bun, and nothing really worked. So after a ton of back and forth and basically tearing her some strands of hair out of her head, I then just gave her 1 ponytail, twisted the hair around in 2 parts, stitched it on with some black yarn, and stitched a bit of tulle over it to keep it in place. I really like her hairstyle. It does look very elegant, very chic. It is nothing as I wanted first. Now I couldn't imagine her anywhere in another way, but yeah. It was purely by accident. So, does the chair help me with doing the hair? Definitely. Does it make my talent be better? Not at all. Not the slightest bit. But still, I did put her back into her chair for some glossing and for gluing in the pearl beads as her earrings. And then I noticed that I had to fix up her stockings. Let's say she already tore them apart while sitting in the chair. So I had to give it one last layer, and with that, all the parts were finally done. Gosh, this girl took me so much longer than I thought. But after I put her into her dress, I thought, gosh, she looked so damn cute. Even though her eyes weren't dry at that moment, I put a hat on her and did send a picture to Rainbow Fine Arts because I was so happy with how she turned out. And enough of me talking about it. Here now you will see the finished results, the finished pictures. And I tried to mimic some of the OG pictures as close as possible. I do think she is adorable. And I hope you did enjoy this video or these 2 videos as well. Like, leave a comment, subscribe, do whatever you want. Have a great time. And until next time. Bye.